Hi, this is your girl T with Rockefeller's Barbershop, located at 1733 Babcock in San Antonio, Texas. Whether you're looking for a haircut, a shave, braids, dreads, weaves, color, we do it all here at Rockefeller's. You can hit me up at 210-884-9046. That's for call or text. And on Facebook and Instagram at Takesha Williams. That's TAKESHIA Williams. And you're listening to us now on I Am Refocused podcast on iHeartRadio.
I'll trust you. There was a story about a man who lost his child. He cherished that young one till the day he took his last breath. He was so special, you see he had to fight all his days and nights. But Daddy loved him anyway. I love him. His disease was only a phase, but something was bigger than the tears he cried. And only a father could hear the words that were unspoken. Fast forward. Even though he's in a better place, the thought still makes him cry all day. That's when he looks up in the sky and says, oh God, I still trust you. This may be the hardest thing for me to do, but I will.
You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune into today's podcast.
This is I Am Refocused podcast, and today, man, we have an awesome guest. Today we have Rahn Anthoni. He is a music artist, a singer. He has a little country, a little R&B, and he has a powerful story with his nonprofit organization. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our partners, our main partners, Rico Rodriguez of Rockefeller Barbershop, and also Miss Kim from River City Donuts, Baby Clinton from All Sports Speed and Conditioning, and one of our new sponsors, D.W. Brooks Funeral Home. So, how are you doing today, Rahn?
I am doing great, especially since I'm on this show.
Awesome. Really awesome. I was checking out your bio, and I was checking out your website, RahnAnthoni.com, and I was watching the videos. And before we get too crazy into your music background, what really struck me is your nonprofit organization. And if you don't mind, before we get to your music, can we talk a little bit about
Sure.
They Can't Talk But We Can.org?
Yes, that's about. I got to give just a little bit of it. My son Aaron Hatcher was allegedly abused, and I say that because I'm still in litigation, and it was covered up in the school board. He was special needs. He couldn't walk or talk, and 2 teachers abused him. The second teacher abused him, and he died from it. And so when that happened, I started the organization to bring awareness, and we changed the law. We brought a law in where we would have cameras in the classroom now in the state of Georgia. And we do a lot of things. We have the special needs rock for special need kids, the teachers, lawyers, anybody that's dealing with elderly, heart disease, all of that. And this just, I've dealt with special needs before prior to my son, because I have a cousin that was special needs. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people didn't know that. So this is like a part of me. So when they took my son away, it just, it allowed me to really come out and help. And that's where it all started. It started from that. And They Can't Talk But We Can is an organization that's never going away, because it's my lifestyle now.
That's really awesome. I watched the video, and one of the music videos I watched, one of the very inspirational track that you did in 2017, I'll Trust You.
Yes.
Tell the audience about that song and who you dedicated to.
Yeah, I'll Trust You is a song. I was just so frustrated one day, and so I talked to one of my friends who got me in touch with Fred Jerkins. And Fred, that's Rodney Jerkins' brother. They did Brandy and all those people. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to try. So I sent an email, and I just poured out everything. You know how you get real frustrated? It's like, ugh. Mm-hmm. And so I just start emailing him, and I wrote everything out. So what he did is took my email and gave it to one of the writers, and they wrote the song I'll Trust You.
Wow.
And that song is just about trusting God in the midst, even when you don't want to trust. You still trust, because that's what's going to get you through. And that's what it's about. I'll trust you.
And your music career, and just wind up the clock a little bit backwards. Who inspired you to be a music artist?
Well, it all started because I grew up in Jupiter, Florida, and my family, they all sing gospel. Mm-hmm. And so when I started singing gospel, I was just shaking the shakers. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like 3 years old. So I was just shaking the shakers and really paying attention to my mom and my uncles and my aunt to see how, what they were doing. And so I started doing it one day. I'm like, shoot, I could do this. And from that point on, it went to recording with Stevie B and Toga. I did the song Give Your Love to Me, which was a dance track. Then I moved to Atlanta, and I started working with Dottie Peoples singing backup. And it just kept growing from there. And from that point on, I started getting into hosting and being at the Oscars. I'm like, what? For me, a country boy from Florida.
Yeah. Tell us about the experience, because you were at Star Power on BET Network. How was that experience?
It was great. At that time, I was with the company, and I was an artist that was on the shelf. So I was like, well, since I'm on the shelf, I need to do something. So this is the time when TLC first came out, and they used to come in and they would be dancing and doing all of these things. And so I'm like, okay, so I want to host, because if you don't say anything, you'll sit on the shelf. So I wanted to host. And so they put me with Angela Means. And I'm sure a lot of people know Angela from Bye Felicia. That's Angela. And so they put us together, and we host the show Star Power. Wow. And it all kept going from there.
And, what you're doing with the nonprofit in memory of your son, what's some of the most rewarding things that you take away being able to do what you're doing right now?
To see the kids, the special need kids, roll on the red carpet, walk on the red carpet, crawl on the red carpet. Just to see those kids and their faces, because some of them can't talk, some of them can, but the ones that some of them can't talk, and just to see the expression like, wow, you doing this for me? Like the girl last year, the last Special Needs Rock we did, she was just dancing with me in her wheelchair, and I was singing the song I Trust You, and it's like a joy that come over their face, and they can't talk. You see what I'm saying? So it was just a blessing that's what I walk away with. I feel like I just got millions of dollars when I see that.
And as a father of a special need child, what advice would you give to parents who maybe found out their kids' special needs? What's some of the challenges that you went through, and right. What advice would you give families out there who might be listening to this particular podcast?
Well, I know when I first found out that Aaron was special needs, I kind of like shunned away a little bit, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm new to this, and I didn't want to believe it, and I couldn't grasp the whole thing. So what I did, I just started just being me. I started being silly, because I'm a silly acting person, doing wheels with the wheelchair, and just getting to know Aaron without him talking to me, getting to know him, getting to be free out in the open when everybody's staring and looking, and you don't know, and just being a father that I never had. That's what it's about. Because I never grew up with my father, so this was my chance to listen from within and become a father, especially to a special needs child. So I would say to the fathers, stand up, fight, even if they're not here. You still fight for others.
How did the community respond when this story broke on the news? When
a lot of people are afraid. They are afraid because it is the government, and it's they would tell me things to say, but they were afraid to say it. And because I'm not afraid, and I would do it because I know I was once in their shoes and I was afraid. But when something like this happened, all the fear goes away. And I'm like the voice for a lot of parents that are afraid or don't want their child to be out in the open or in the public because of, people talking. And I'm the one that's doing it because it's me. I mean, this needs to stop. And so the only way it's going to stop is if you keep pushing and keep pushing. Even when they say no, you keep pushing. So the community, they really love it. They just love that they have somebody that will speak out.
And you're not just, someone who's standing up for these children, but you are a CEO of a radio station online. Tell us about that.
I have the WMQG radio. That's WMQGradio.com, and I started it as a voice. And I started that just to, at first I just started it on a laptop, not knowing it's going to go this far, but on a laptop with a headset and a microphone. That's it. All I wanted was someone to hear my story. And I started getting people from overseas, and I looked at the analytics, and someone told me, you had like 100,000 people. And I'm like, yeah, right. Because I didn't understand that.
Wow.
I didn't understand it. So when I saw that, I was like, what? And so that's when I started doing more, start buying things and start creating shows. Like I have a show, Real Issues. I talk about real issues. Today was domestic violence. And I'm a character when I put it up, I was like, hit me again. That was my way to draw people in.
Wow.
And it's been really great, and I really appreciate what I'm doing. I'm proud of myself.
I think we all should be just happy for everything that you're doing, because your time and your energy. Let's dig into that, because this is not just something that you just wake up and you do, and there's no issues, there's no setbacks. What's some of the things that you had to go through just to get your voice out there, especially with the organization? Well, in the midst of this, when I found out about my son, I suffered a heart attack because they put this thing in all these papers in front of me, and it's like this parent was like, this is what happened. And so they already knew about it, but I didn't. And so when I opened it, I'm like, what? And my body just shut down. So when that body shuts down, your job shuts down. The money shuts down. You're in the hospital. So everything I lost. And when you lose everything, but I still had the fight to still do this, because I know that in the end it's changing people's lives. And so I went through that, and and I'm out asking people to donate, because I'm doing this on my own, and I'm doing it because they took something away from me. Wow.
And they took it away from me, and I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to help other people so they won't take things from them. And so I'm doing this, and you get with a lot of people, they won't help, they won't share, they won't like, they won't support you. And it's not because they just don't have it or don't want to. A lot of people are afraid because it's the government.
Wow. And for the listener who hasn't heard about your story about your son, if you don't mind, take us back to that day.
Okay.
Just for the listener. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, my son was it started in 2006 when I didn't know anything about it. We noticed that his hip was his leg was dislocated from his hip. So we thought it was just something, we didn't know. But come to find out, he was being abused. And I didn't find that out until 2010 or 11. Well, yeah, around that time. And he was abused, and that was all covered up. It was sealed. They had settled with someone. It was over, so they thought. So this teacher would throw him out the wheelchair. She passed gas in his face and the other kids as well. Just and play his cries back to him. It was mentally, physical abuse, all of that. So that went on, and we didn't know anything about it. So then it came that I knew about the second abuse because I noticed the bruises on his neck. And so when I found out what was happening, it's nothing you can do in the state of Georgia. You still have to send them to school. I got in contact with everybody to stop this madness. And it continued and it continued. And I went to the doctor to let them know, please stop this, because they threatened to put us in jail if we take him out of school. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff. And so when this happened, when I asked the doctor to do it, that week he passed away. The teacher had placed this makeshift device on his neck because he was growing to the right, and she cut off his circulation. And this had been going on for months. He would be cold blue from the school. We'd take him to the hospital, and we would meet at the hospital, but we didn't know what was going on. And I found out all of that at one time, and that's when my body just gave out. And I say this, and I appreciate you having me on here, because people need to know that we need to be at these schools with our kids, special needs or not. Mm-hmm. And now they want to give teachers guns. I mean, if you can Google my situation, it's all facts. And we've been on CNN, we've been on a lot of different outlets, because it's not going to stop unless we stop it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's wow. And I was going to your website. I was like, man, let's listen to some songs. And then I see this stuff about the organization. I'm reading that. I watched that one video of you telling the story. Yes. It was almost like watching a documentary.
Yes.
And it's like, wow. I mean, you're using your music to really get your son's story out there.
Yes.
And you're starting to bring awareness to the situation that a lot of people might be facing, but they're scared to say something.
Right. And it's not, I'm not against teachers, because teachers are in my family. I just want people to know that people go through things in life, and you lose it. And you lose it. And this is what happens when you lose it. I'm fighting to get psychiatrists in the school so they can talk to these people. So when they do lose it, they'll have somewhere to go. And these are the things that I'm working on. And it's hard, but I'm doing it because it needs to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is if, like I said, if we just keep pushing it in their face, keep blogging, keep making songs, keep standing up, going to concerts and talking about it to all the people. That's what I'm doing. I'm using my platform for that.
And speaking of music, because you are a music artist, what's some of the goals that you have put in place for the near future?
Well, I'm going to do a movie when all this is over and everything is done with the lawsuit and all this kind of stuff. When they finish with all of that, I'm going to do a movie. And the movie, I'm going to have a soundtrack. And all the music, I'm going to write for awareness. It's going to be great songs. It's going to, and it's going to help people to, just like the song Highways. I wrote that because I was at a crossroad. There was a lot of things going on in my mind sitting up in court. And I had to make the right decision. And if I could have it was my choice. I could have made the wrong decision. I could have did what I thought I wanted to do. But because I live from within, I can control the silent noise in my head.
And that song, Highway, it has a little country flavor to it, but yes. The lyrics is really, were you saying touch on the lyrics a little bit? Because in the song, I watched the video, and it's like open road, and it's definitely one of those type of songs that you listen to on your way home from work or on vacation. Tell us a little bit some of your meanings and your points in that song that you were trying to get across.
The meanings and the subliminal message is when you're driving in your car and you just think, because a lot of people think, especially when you're riding by yourself, and a lot of thoughts that's very loud in your head when you're on the highway. So you can make the right choices when you come to that crossroad in your mind. And I use the reality of the highway and the crossroad in the video so that you can put the two and two together to say, hey, I got to make the right decision. I got to make the right choice in my life. You know, I don't want to go bust this person upside the head that did this. I don't want to go and shoot somebody that did this. I don't want to do that. No, I can't do it. You know, you at this crossroad and all of a sudden you got to make a decision. That's the highway. When you make that right decision, it takes you on the right road to where you need to be. And that's why I wrote that song, because with all the things that people go through in life, we all go through it because a lot of us, we don't hear the voice inside of us. We hear the loud, you know, I got to do this, I got to pay this, I got to do this. All this is silent loudness in your mind. But when you're on the highway, you're able to calm those thoughts down. That's when you make the right decision.
And how has your faith glued this all together?
Because I learned that everything, after what I went through with my son, it's inside of you. The power, the energy, the force of God is within you. I thought it was outside, you know, before all this happened. But when I realized that it's in me, I have the power to stop this, what's going on within me. I had to make a decision, and that was between me and God, the God that I serve, and, you know, within me. Everybody's an individual, so each person have things that's going on, and it's the same force, but it's individuals. So I had to make that choice. I suffered a divorce through all of this. I suffered a lot. I had a heart attack, open heart surgery, and everything was trying to stop me. And I was like, no, I will not stop.
If you guys are just tuning in, we are speaking to Rahn Anthoni, and like he was talking about his song Highway, it tells of his journey from tragedy to triumph, looking back on his story of his life. And speaking of your story, what will you tell anyone who might be listening to this, who might have a similar situation as yours? What's some words of encouragement that you would tell that person who might be going through it still?
I would tell them to sit down and meditate. Listen from within yourself. That something told me voice, get to know that voice, because that's going to lead you in the right direction. I would listen within myself and meditate. Heal yourself. And I would tell, you know, I would say that because that's what I had to do. Because if it wasn't for me listening from within, I would be sitting in prison right now and I would not be on your show. That's what I would tell that person.
Man, this was a really, really powerful show, and your story, the strength. I mean, as a father losing a child, you know, that's hard, man. And yes. I don't know what's like to be a father personally, but I know there's people listening to this that will definitely be inspired by your words and your courage. And what's some of the things that you see today that keeps you on that mission to wanting to keep getting the word out, wanting to keep getting people informed and building your team?
What keeps me is knowing that it happened to me, knowing that that my son is there with me from within, knowing that I could hear the voice of God, that's a frequency, a power that's living inside of me to give me the right direction. That's what's keeping me going. Because, and also, believe it or not, the hurt is my energy. Because I hurt every day, but I turn that hurt into power. I turn that hurt into sharing everything to help other people. So I won't sit there in idle mind and then go into depression and commit suicide. Because I thought about that too. But that's not the answer. So and to write and to sing and to be able to be on shows like this, to let people hear that what you're going through, you can get through it. I did.
Yeah, and there's a saying I used that say to some people, your pain is somebody's medicine. So yes. We go through what we go through for a reason. What's some of the things that you had to change or to overcome to get to that medicine?
People. Wow. I had to change from being around certain people because, and I couldn't do what I was doing when you got negativity around you. So I had to change all of that. It hurt. I had to change a bunch. I had to say no. I had to stick with this mission. And it hurts. And it hurt a lot of people. And it's not like you would go to someone and say, I can't be around you no more. You have to really just back away and change what you're doing. And they're not going to be there anyway because you're doing something positive, especially if they're negative. You see, so that's what I had to do for me in order to stay on the right road, on the highway.
I like that segue. It's almost like we did this on purpose.
Yes.
Well,
and I wanted to say too that I don't have any malice. It's all joy. And I really thank God that I went through this to help somebody else.
And also to respond to that, say there's someone out there who they're still mad. What some advice will you give to that person to overcome that anger?
To quiet the noise, the silent frustrations in their mind. To sit down and really quiet all that down. Meditate. I mean, glue yourself to that room, sit there and calm yourself down. And that's going to help you heal because there's power in meditation. And you'll realize that all of the things that you think is not real because everything is from within. And when you live within yourself and that anger and frustration and malice and hatred, it's got to disappear. But it's up to you to do it.
We are speaking to Rahn Anthoni. You guys definitely go out and check out his website, rahnanthoni.com. Support his music and definitely go out and check out his nonprofit, They Can't Talk But We Can Inc. Nonprofit organization speaking for those who can't speak for themselves. Sir, I want to thank you for being on I Am Refocused podcast. And is there anything you want to say in closing or any shout outs or anything like that?
Yes, I would like to let everyone know that I am available to come to where you are. I'm not about all the money. Just get me there and I will open my mouth and sing and speak and uplift wherever I am. That's what I'm about. I will drive to you because it's so much in me and I know people need to be uplifted. And that's all I want. That's all I want. I want to spread this word. And you can go to rahnanthoni.com, purchase the songs that I have, Apple Music, because it's going back to the organization to help special needs. And that's elderly, heart disease, all of that. I'm here for you. Use me.
And lastly, how can people get involved with your organization if they want to volunteer?
You can volunteer. You can actually go to theycan'ttalkbutwecan.org. There is a section on there where you can fill out to volunteer. And volunteer can be anywhere in the world. Just share. You can share what we put out. It's going to help.
Amazing. Well, once again, you guys, we are talking to Rahn Anthoni, and you definitely want to share this podcast, and please continue to listen. And before I close, I want to give another big thank you to Rahn for being on the show. And also to our sponsors who are supporting us: Rico Rodriguez with Rockefeller's Barbershop, Miss Kim with River City Donuts, Baby McClinton, All Sports Speed and Conditioning, and last but not least, the D.W. Brooks Funeral Home. Ryan, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story. Like I always say, guys, I never want to close this podcast without saying this: keep God first, stay focused, and peace.
As I walk to get in my old car in Georgia, there's a lot of things I passed on 85. Sometimes I may get lost, but when I'm lost I pay the cost and find my path back as I drive. There's a highway to the road again. There's a highway. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway. As your life goes through so many changes, and the road don't look good when you're blind, they try to help you see, but you don't want to be free, and you drive back to the place to leave. Now there's a highway on the road again. There's a highway. There's a highway to the way it began. There's a highway. There's a highway to where it began. There's a highway. Every mile that I travel brings me closer to where I need to be. No matter near or far, I'll travel in my car to be free, to be free. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway to every road. When you come to the crossroad, look. It's a direction, but only one way that can take you where you need to be. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway. There's a highway to where it begins. There's a highway. There's a highway. There's a highway to where it begins. To where it begins. To where it